Recently, I did a video where I did a taste test of the Guston Farms 4-day, 2-person emergency preparedness food package, which you can obtain at Walmart. And I really enjoyed the food, as you can tell from the video. But one of the viewers of that Dakota preparedness video made a comment that he questioned the number of calories that were contained in the emergency bucket and whether that was truly a 4-day supply for 2 people. And I think he has a point. Now, so I'm going to do a deep dive to answer that question for food storage. Plus, it has great ramifications if you want to lose weight. And I'm an expert at losing weight. I was a wrestler from 7th through 12th grade. And then when I was in my mid-30s, I wanted to start doing short triathlons. So I went down to Nutrisystem and signed myself up. And I have to give them credit. Now, that was decades ago, but I lost 27 pounds, and I learned a lot about nutrition, a lot about weight loss. I was very happy. And then in my mid-50s, using the principles that I had learned at Nutrisystem, and also just generally reading healthcare articles, I was able to lose 50 pounds. So I know a few things about dieting. But I would share with you that the viewer of the Dakota preparedness video was correct, that you could question the number of calories that were in that 4-day, 2-person emergency food storage. Now, actually, calculating the number of length that your food storage would last, it seems to me it'd be very difficult for a vendor because they really don't know the individual customer and what their unique situation is. And indeed, we would almost expect that their metabolism would be different to just maintain their weight. But I do recall kind of a funny story was I have a sister who is careful about her weight, and we were visiting her, my family and I, and it was a lunch, and it was one of those deals where it was every man for himself. In other words, my wife nor her were going to cook. You had to find something to eat for lunch. So looking for something, I found a packet of some 4 Patriot food. And I said, wow, this is emergency preparedness type food. I said, where did you get this? And she told me that the company had sent her 3 packets. And I said, where are the other 2 packets? And she says, I ate them. I thought they were pretty good. I guess they sent it to me to try to get me to buy a larger amount of food. And I said, do you mind, because you know I have an interest in food storage, do you mind if I eat this 3rd package? And she said no. And so I ate it. It was very good, and I let her know that. And she said, yes, that's why I bought a 30-day supply from them. And I said, really? Can I see the storage bin? So she showed me in her closet the 30-day supply. I was very impressed with their plastic bin. It was very well made, and it was fairly short. And I took that as an advantage because you might be able to just push it under a bed for storage. But it certainly would be very easy to store in a closet. So I started looking at the bin, and I went through each packet in there. I didn't open them, of course. I just looked at them and looked at the nutritional data and saw how well it was stored. I was pretty impressed. But when I got done, I said, this is top drawer stuff. I said, but with the number of calories they have here, I haven't done a real fancy calculation. I think you would be losing a weight of about 1 pound a week. At which point my sister said, really, I could lose 4 pounds a month? perhaps I should buy a couple more months worth. So not only did she see that she was solving her objective of having some emergency food on hand, she was also setting up a second objective, and that was to trim down her weight a little bit. So one person's weakness is another person's perceived strength. Now, to calculate someone's metabolism maintenance calories is actually fairly complicated. There's at least a half a dozen attributes and probably more. One is age. The younger you are, the more you would tend to burn calories. Two is whether you're a man or a woman. A man tends to burn more calories than a woman. The activity level. Naturally, the more active you are, the more you're going to need calories to maintain your weight. Your height and weight. The taller the person, the larger the person, the more calories they're going to need to maintain their weight. The body composition is another aspect. If you're very muscular, you're going to burn more calories than someone that's leaner. So all of those factors come to play. Now, you'll traditionally find some broad ranges of calories for a maintenance diet for men and women out in the literature, but they're so broad they're very difficult to use. But a dietitian once shared with me that there's a formula that is very advantageous. For a man, you take their current weight and you multiply it by 11, and that will give you an approximation of what they need for maintenance calories. So if a man weighs 200 pounds, you multiply by 11, and that gives you 2,200 calories. So they should be consuming that to just maintain their current weight. Now, a woman, you change the formula slightly. You take their weight and multiply it by 10. So a 150-pound woman would need 1,500 calories. Now, so that tells you how much approximation that you need every day to survive. So the 2,200 would, in times 30, would be approximately 66,000 calories. The woman with a daily requirement for 1,500 calories multiplied by 30 days would be that she needs 45,000 calories. Now, I think these numbers are useful if you're planning for 30, 60, 90 days worth of emergency food supply. You can get fairly accurate in what your family requirements would be to obtain that length of time. I think once you get over about 90 days, it's pretty complicated, and I would just use some general rules of thumb. I've mentioned there are studies that 25 number 10 cans of whatever approximates a 90-day supply of food. But anyway, some very good calculations for food storage. Now, let's look at dieting because it definitely has some ramifications in that area. So the man needs 2,200 in our example. Let's say he's eating a diet of 1,500 calories. So 2,200 minus 1,500, he's got a deficit of 700 daily. Now, there's also a general approximation that 1 pound of fat weighs 3,500 calories. Now, that in itself is also an oversimplification, but we will work with it. So if 1 pound weighs 3,500 and we divide it by the 700 deficit, every 5 days the man should be losing a pound of fat. Now, a woman who requires 1,500, if she's at a diet level of 1,500, she's not going to lose weight. Now, if she takes her consumption down to, let's say, 1,000, so she needs for a maintenance diet 1,500, you're subtracting the 1,000, So she has a deficit of 500. You take the 500 divided into the 3,500 for a pound of fat every 7 days, she will be losing weight. Now, I should mention from my own experience that these are all averages, and we have to be mindful of the statistician who drowned crossing the river that was on average 2 feet deep. One of the things I noticed was the 2 periods where I did these massive diets was that your body is an amazing mechanism, and at certain periods it would do what I would call it plateaued. In other words, it's so desperate to maintain its weight, it lowers your metabolism. And so you just have to last that out, whether it's days or weeks. Or the other thing that I would do is increase my activity level until my body said, in effect, I give up, I'm going to lose the weight. Also, I would state that losing more than about 2 pounds of weight a week is probably not very healthy. And if you're going to lose weight under any circumstances, if you have any unusual health issues, you should do it under the supervision of a registered dietitian or a medical doctor, an appropriate healthcare provider. Also, it's not just as simple as eating calories. You should have a balanced diet. You should have at least 2 cups of fruit every day. You should have 4 cups of vegetables every day. You should have at least 1 hour of activity where you're doing some exercise, even if it's functional exercise out in the garden or hauling around things. That at my age, that's kind of the what I call functional exercise. I almost prefer. So some useful information for food storage and for dieters. Be prepared.